I'm Jarrett Carpenter, and this is More Than Blockchain. On this episode, and for the first time here at More Than Blockchain, I have created a slideshow to share with you. I created one slide, and all of a sudden I had two slides, and before you know it, I think there's like 15 slides to talk about two topics: understanding the Bitcoin cycle, and then Q4 2024 Bitcoin price predictions, basically looking at what prices could be based on historical data for October, November, and December of 2024 as we close out this year and we kind of get set up for a hopefully nice bull run in 2025. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and let's dive right in. As I said, today I've actually created a slideshow which is going to talk about understanding the Bitcoin cycle first to kind of create the nice fertile landscape for which we can talk about the Q4 2024 Bitcoin price prediction. So let's go ahead. Let's start with understanding the Bitcoin cycle. Now, in order to do this, I've created a grid, a map to really discuss the 4-year cycle that is Bitcoin. So as you can see in this first column, we have 2012, 2016, 2020, and 2024. Those are the years of the Bitcoin halving. Followed by 2013, 2017, 2021, 2025. Those are the bull markets. The next years that follow the bull is the cooling down period. That's what I'm calling it, the cooling year. And then finally, there's the zombie year, 2015, 2019, 2023, and 2027. If you've been in Bitcoin or crypto for 2023, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I call it a zombie year. Moving forward, I just want to call it 2017. In that second column of bull run, this is normally when people are attracted to Bitcoin. As the price increases, attention comes to the space. I, for one, came into Bitcoin in 2017. I was like, what is this thing? Let me go ahead and learn more, get some of this, and start to wrap my head around what is a permissionless, decentralized global network of value. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to highlight this is because I do think in 2025, the year that's only months away, we're going to have another class of Bitcoiners come in, freshly minted, wanting to learn about the orange coin. Finally, I've highlighted 2024 because that is the year that we are in. It is September 12th, 2024. And now I think I've set the ground to talk about the price predictions. Remember, it's the end of a halving year and we're going to be sliding into a bull run. So historically, we've seen price increase. Now the question is, how much could it increase? And that's what we're going to look at right now. So let's look at Q4 2024 price predictions. And this is not financial advice. This is just a historical analysis of what has happened in the past, try to forecast the future. But that is the hot hand fallacy. What has happened in the past is our best indicator of what can happen in the future, but it doesn't promise or assure that anything can happen in the future. As always with Bitcoin, make sure you do your own research and make sure before you buy any amount of Bitcoin, you understand what you're buying, you understand what you're getting into, you understand kind of what's going on here with Bitcoin. So let's dive in. This entire episode was kind of inspired by two tweets. This is the first tweet from Rect Capital. It says, survive September, thrive in October, November, and December. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I want to see that graphic a little bit closer. So here's that graphic a little bit closer. It really highlights, you can see in black, the two halving years. And then up top in 2024 for October, November, December, it's left blank because we don't really know what's going to happen. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take those increases, those percent increases from 2016, 2020, add them together, divide by 2, get a very simple average, and then lay that over current prices so we can kind of look ahead and say, what is going to happen this October, November, December? So that's what I did. In the row 2016% plus, you'll see those were the numbers that increased. So those are the percent increases in 2016, which was a halving year. 2020, it's the same. I just pulled the information, just brought it over from this slide onto this chart. Then what I did was I added the 2016 and 2020 together, divided by 2, and I got these numbers: 21.2%, 24.185%, 38.86%. Pretty simple. Now, what I wanted to do was apply those percent increases, those average percent increases that we get from the two previous halving years of 2016 and 2020. And I wanted to apply those to the assumption of a $60,000 Bitcoin. As I record this right now on September 12th, Bitcoin's around 57,000. So maybe it finishes October around 60,000. So for this entire episode, we're going to assume a $60,000 Bitcoin for these numbers. So when I apply the 21.2% potential increase, which is an average, to a $60,000 Bitcoin, I'm left with a $12,120 increase. When I add that, I'm left at the end of October with $72,000. Now, if I take $72,000 and increase it by 24.185%, I'm left with an increase of $17,000, 587 to be left with around $89,000, $707. I take that 89,707 from the end of November, all hypothetical, and I add that, or I multiply that by the percent of 38.86. I'm left with an increase of $34,860. When I add that onto the 89,000, I am left in December with a Bitcoin price of 124,567. Now, if you're watching this, this is extremely bullish. When I went through and created this chart, I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy. What happens after a halving year is always kind of magic as we go into the bull run. But looking at these numbers, it was pretty interesting. Then I saw another tweet, the other tweet that kind of inspired this. And this is from Bitwise. It says, or it's from Bitcoin Magazine, but it's Bitwise information. It says, Bitwise chart shows Bitcoin historically pumps in price after being down in September, bullish. So I want to look at this chart a little bit closer. And here it gives Bitcoin's average returns by month from 2010 to 2024. And if you look at the bottom, the source says Bitwise Asset Management with data from Glassnode and ETC Group, data from August 2010 to September 2024. This is basically 95%, if not more, of Bitcoin's life. So this is going to be very good information. As you can see on this chart, October, November, and December, the price does go up after historically over these 14 years going down in September. So I took those price increases, percent increases from October, November, and December, and I did the same thing. So there we go. We have the 2010 to 2024% average increase just taken from the Bitwise data. And then we applied it like we did before to the 60K Bitcoin. And this is what we're left. In October, a $77,000 Bitcoin. In November, $107,000 Bitcoin. And in December, $120,000 Bitcoin. Now, if you're thinking these sound similar, it's because they do. The 2010 to 2024% increase average for all the months of October, November, and December was quite similar to just the averages of 2016 and 2020 overall increases. And I put that together. So there we go, the 2016 and 2020 halving. This is what would be at the end per $60,000 Bitcoin, taking into account those average increases. And I wanted to then add the black row with the white row to get the purple row. So all I did was add them together and then divide by 2. When you do that, you're left at the end of October with a price around $75,000 Bitcoin, end of November around a $99,000 Bitcoin, and then end of December around $123,000 Bitcoin. All in all, this tends to show that we will probably crack $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year and before 2025 if it stays with historical data. So now I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on these Q4 price predictions? This number here, these 74, 98, and 122, these are the numbers that we've taken at the end, right? Which show the average of the 2016 and 2020 halving percent increases, plus the average of the 2010 to 2024 Bitwise percent increases for the months of October, November, and December. So what do you think? How does this feel? Now, take into account, this assumes a $60,000 Bitcoin, and we're using historical percent increase data to kind of forecast out the future only being October, November, December. We have a bunch of things that are going to go on throughout those months that may impact this price, both positively or negatively. We have the US election. We have a potential lowering of interest rates from the Fed, which would be absolutely massive. So there's a lot of things that can happen here, but we will see how this all plays out. As always, please go ahead and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're following on a podcast platform, please go actually check this out on YouTube, because I think seeing these numbers in the charts is super helpful. For me as a visual learner, I know it is. So follow us on social media at More Than Blockchain. If you want to reach out to me, that's probably the best place to do it, is just on Instagram. Hit me up with a DM. Whether you like the content, you don't like the content, or you have, some suggestion for future content. Also, consider sharing this with a friend, family member, or colleague. This is really, really important information. And I think as you go through these numbers and you see these prices, which are based on historic data, it kind of gives you insight into maybe where we're going. Because right now, things are kind of bearish. And that's how, apparently, historically, September has felt. So thank you so much for checking out this episode of More Than Blockchain. And I'll see you next time.